You know me long enough, mate.
Well, that's the idea, though, isn't it? Yeah. Okay, so what? Tell me, Rick, what was it like on the road from day one?
Hell. And no, going on the road was something that I'd longed for most of my life. It was something. It was a dream. The reality is, yeah, it's different, but still enjoyable. I think our first tour in Cornwall, we had a tent and we didn't have a PA. We sort of turned up, raring to go. We had, I think, about an hour's long set, but turned up in Cornwall and found out that, again, we needed a PA, and ultimately we needed at least about an hour to start, to sort of start earning and to sort of do well. So unbeknown to us, again, we played a few gigs. I remember being in Falmouth and we were just outside sharing a cigarette, and a woman who was there, her husband had some speakers or something in the loft, and I think we'd arranged and chatted, and I think the next day, for the sake of a few CDs and a few free T-shirts, we actually got given our first PA, which ultimately got us through the rest of the tour in one piece. It was a small tour, tiny venues, hardly anyone turned up, but enough seeds were sort of sown to kind of get a return visit to, again, up at a level. And I think the next tour down there, we started off playing Walkabout in Newquay on a bank holiday, of which I think was about 1,000-ish people. But again, it was a lot different night. It was rowdy, it was loud, it was good fun, and I think that's where the ups and downs of touring comes. When it's good, it's a party. Everyone's on board. You've got drinks and things flowing. Like I said, we sound check. You always get your free Guinness or your rum when you finish playing, or when you go and play, you'll get another. And I think the day-to-day build-up of alcohol and other things, can build up if you're not careful. It's never done in a purposely sort of cathartic way. It is just, I think initially it begins of just being accepting free offers. You have to monitor yourself, you have to be aware of yourself. The guys around you have to look out for you, because again, the pitfalls can creep up on you. So it's just being aware of what you are. And I think what did us well to some extent is our friendship. I think friendship got us through, because again, when you're tired, you're traveling to different ends of the country, your relationship situation may be up and down. There's a lot of factors. You might have family issues, but when you go on stage, you need to put all those behind you. So it's kind of, you have to be a strong character, and the people around you have to have you back. So yeah, it's fun, but I would say a lot of people, the Hollywood perception of the rock and roll lifestyle isn't as cool as you think. It's something I would still always do again and again, but you have to go in prepared. There was one day we played Chagstock, and I think there was about 10,000 people there. And then later in the day, we played another festival with, I think it was in Teignmouth. There's about 3,000-4,000 people there, and cumulatively we played in front of a lot of people that day. And I always used to say to the guys, 90% of the people coming to watch us will go to bed tonight in their own bed, and we're sleeping in a van with about 20 quid in our pockets in a sleeping bag by the sea. And it was a great leveler, and it was kind of, it puts you in perspective. Our music careers were going brilliantly. We were ticking all the right boxes with the farm. We were getting good rate airplay, we were getting good reviews, but the actual reality was we were cold and wet and slightly damp in a van. And I think once you get past that mentally, you can enjoy it. It's something I wouldn't change for the world, but I think only a certain amount of people are cut out for it. And I would definitely say at my grand old age, it's definitely what I'd consider a young man's game, and our backs and just general well-being. I think much better now we're off the road. But if you can take it, it's some experience I will never forget.
Cool. So you mentioned about the ups and downs, and throughout your story there, playing to 1,000, 10,000 people, a day or whatever it was. What did it feel like, and what mindset did you have to go and play like a little pub in North Devon to one man and his dog, just because we were heading back that way through Bristol and back up north? What did you have to do to prepare yourself for those ups and downs?
Get a certain level of resilience and a view of the big picture, because again, we always used to go back to the farm in London with little different bits of news, and they would return to us with another plan for the next few sort of months or the next run of gigs within a tour, or videos we were supposed to be doing. So I think mentally, not every gig was going to be the big sort of cool gig you've always wanted it to do. So I think mentally, the crowd who are watching you, they deserve as much as a show as, say, the London gig, the Manchester gig. They're an audience, so you need to sort of rise above that. This is one man and his dog, and play for that one man and his dog, because it might change the life of that one man and his dog. And I think to begin with, you might be dismissive of, what's this going to do? It's not worth it. But it is worth it, because every crowd, and it was always the gigs that you don't expect, where you'd either have the random good fun, or the meet someone who then would be able to line up a next set of gigs, or you just don't know. So I think you had to take each gig on its merits and just do what you do. And I think as a unit, as long as we're having fun, then they're having fun. So I think for us it was more to do with, we're still on this ultimate road trip with our best mates. So ultimately we might be in a little village in the middle of nowhere, but we're still together, we can still have fun, and we're still bringing the funk.
So interestingly, talk about that £20 in your pocket. It's very difficult nowadays for, from my perspective, for bands to understand what the quantity that we did and of gigs that we did and the sacrifices that we had to make. We didn't have jobs. This was our job, and we were really close to the breadline. And we had a lot of free time. So what did we do with that free time? Can you remember?
Yeah, so firstly, giving up jobs. I remember we'd all counted down to giving up work, like they do in the films. You're in your big job, and then all of a sudden the music takes off and you're living in some cool house. The reality is you kind of do your day job, you then reduce that down to sort of temping. And I remember I was cleaning toilets with no gloves, and then playing, like we said, in front of 10,000 people. And I remember being looked down upon cleaning at a primary school, because they just thought I was a lowly cleaner. They didn't know that 2 days before I was in London, playing on big stages. So I think you've got to be humble for a start, but the actual reality is you will go through hardship. You're giving up a normal 9 to 5 job with a regular pay. And so when you're on tour, every single note you play, you are earning it. Every pound, every CD in those days you sell is helping you get petrol to the next place you need to go to. If you don't sell that CD, that's the difference between a Weatherspoons meal or a pasty. So I think those were sort of things and considerations people don't necessarily think of. You have to give up a lot. You have to give up your, again, we were all clean. We had to wash with baby wipes in lay-bys, and we found out that service stations have showers. And so your whole way of living and existing changes, but by the same time, you have so much downtime. And again, what you have got to be careful of is abusing yourself. And I know that personally. I remember one gig, we got paid in weed. The guy who booked us was part of a famous two-tone band from the 70s. I won't name and shame, but we had a good laugh. This was in Kidderminster, and then for whatever fee we'd paid for, the guy actually paid us with the same amount of weed. Driving around in a battered old transit van, again at my grand old age, it's certainly not something I would want to be doing again. But we had all that, and again, with the inspiration, we took it on tour and had lots of fun. And within the downtime, you have to be careful. You can have a bit of fun, you can relax, but before long, is this becoming a pattern? Because we travelled around, and so each place we go to, it's their party, so you can't be a band and just know I'm reading a book tonight. But by the same token, you have to fill your time with sort of constructive things to do. So whilst again there was an element of smoking weed and drinking, there was also an element of, I think all of us read more. I think at the time Paulo Coelho was a big influence for all of us. So my memories of the first tours is having my little library in the van of the sort of newest 5 Paulo Coelho books, and I know that obviously Sam and Liam used to share and read, and we used to sort of trade stories. So it wasn't all the rock and roll lifestyle. I do find that there was those times where you read, you sort of want to mentally extend yourself. We used to go for walks and just clear our heads, because again, you're living with 3 other guys, best mates or not, it can get pretty intense. So I think it was a downtime which sometimes was the most tender or personal, because you get away. So yeah, that's the ups and downs.